Welcome to all the participants of the in the today's virtual CP meeting on solution on delayed payments of MSME. We have with us today's resource person CA Mukesh Mohan Gupta for deliberating on this delayed payment solution on delayed payment of MSME. CA Mukesh Mohan Gupta is a chartered accountant and right now the member of the National Board for MSME, constituted by Ministry of Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises. He has been held that one is directorship in Dana Bank, Arts and Engineering Limited, Madras Fertilizers Limited, Hindustan Fertilizer Limited, JCT Electronics Limited. He was the member in that one is Key Advisory Group on ARC, Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. Key Advisory Group on MSME, Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance. Empowered Committee on MSME, NCD Delhi, Reserve Bank of India. Bank. He is a special invitee and the co-opted member in the bank, various committee of ICI. He is in the peer reviewer with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And he is right now the president of Chamber of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and Indian Independent Director of Associations. He is a member of Committee on Revival and Rehabilitation on MSME in the Andhra Bank, Dhanlakshmi Bank Limited, Punjab National Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Karur Vyas Bank Limited, Syndicate Bank and Vijay Bank. He is the co-chairman of National MSME Committee, ASSOCHAM. He is the member of Banking and Finance Committee, ASSOCHAM, member National Executive Committee, FICCI, member Foreign Trade and Facilitation Committee, FICCI, member MSME Committee, FICCI, member Credit and Finance Task Force, FICCI, member Management Committee, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And right now, that one is he has instrumental in that one is TV shows in the Positive Talk with Mukesh Mohan Gupta on G Business, Be Positive on News World India. He has the various media interaction with the G Business, CNBC, Awaaz, Rajya Sabha TV, Lok Sabha TV, and News Nation. With this, we welcome to CA Mukesh Mohan Gupta for today's virtual CP meeting, and I am handing over the session to CA Mukesh Mohan Gupta for further proceeding.
Thank you, Dr. Sambit Mishra ji, for such an nice introduction. I don't know whether I deserve this or not. So friends, today we are going to discuss about the issue of delayed payment to micro, small and medium enterprises. Friends, you are well aware that MSMEs are the backbone of our country and they are the backbone of any economy, be it India or any economy in the world. But yes, for Indian economy, MSMEs are very important because they are the largest employment provider in the country. As per the records, there are more than 6 crore MSMEs which are providing more than 11 crore employment, which is a big number. But there are various issues being faced by these micro, small and medium enterprises. It is lack of capital, lack of talented staff, lack of technology, and one of the biggest problem I feel is delayed payment from their buyers. Whenever these MSMEs supply any goods or provide any service to any of their buyer, be it another micro, small and medium enterprises, be it a large corporate, be it a government companies, they face most of the time that the payments is not made on time. And this creates a big problem to them because their entire cash flow and their entire working capital is disturbed due to the delayed payment to these micro, small and medium enterprises. Before I start today's presentation on this very important subject, wherein you being the chartered accountants can provide best service to your client by helping them in recovering their delayed payment or stuck up payment in a very legal manner. I would like to add here that friends, please ask as many questions as possible, because I feel that, whenever I discuss or whenever I talk with the professionals like you, I always feel that it is a learning process for me. I want to learn a lot of things from the pupil like you. Please ask as many questions as you wish. Try to make this conversation as a two-way conversation, though we'll not be able to perhaps discuss, face to face today with this virtual meeting. But I have already requested Dr. Sambit Mishra ji to please provide me the questions being asked by the participants, and I'll try to answer each and every question. Whenever I'll be in any doubt, it will again be a learning for me, because I'll study that and will try to find out why I could not reply to it, and will come back to you with a proper reply. So please ask as many questions as you wish. Before I start this issue of delayed payment to MSMEs, what are the challenges and what are the solutions? I can just request that you, being the chartered accountant in practice, are also an MSMEs. Those who don't know this, please register yourself as an MSME. And today's the only registration certificate for MSMEs is Udyam registration. So please register yourself as an Udyam registration, which is available free of cost online. You need not to go to any office. You need not to pay even a single penny to get this Udyam registration. You can get this Udyam registration on udyamregistration.gov.in. Please go only with this official website, so that you are not cheated and no fees is paid by you to anybody in between. Friends, there are three types of categories under micro, small, and medium enterprises, as the name suggests. One is micro enterprises, the another is small enterprises, and the third one is medium enterprises. Earlier, there were categories for manufacturing and for service sector, but with effect from a notification being issued by Ministry of Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises during June 2020, now there is no differentiation as far as classification is concerned in manufacturing and service sector. So the definition or the criteria for classification between amongst the micro, small, and medium enterprises, be it manufacturing or be it service sector, are the same. I hope that you all will be aware of the criteria for micro, small, and medium enterprises. These are based on investment in plant and machinery and turnover of the enterprise. When I say "and," meaning thereby that both the conditions of investment in plant and machinery and the turnover has to be met out to be classified under any specific category, like micro enterprise, small enterprise, or medium enterprise. So problem is and challenge is that delayed payment to any enterprise, and particularly when we are talking about the MSMEs, it is a threat for ability to trade. Why I am saying this, it is a threat for ability to trade, because suppose an MSME supplies some material in expectation that these debtors will be recovered over a period of 45 days or 60 days. And if this payment is not received by them on this specified period, and they got an opportunity to take any another order, perhaps they will not be able to take that another order, because they will not be able to purchase raw material for that different orders if they are not able to get the payment from their debtors against the goods or services being supplied by them. So it is a threat for the MSMEs to against the ability to trade. It creates a working capital gap, because delayed payment from the debtors directly impact the working capital of the MSMEs. More so, Because what happens, in fact, you being the professionals easily understand that bankers normally consider the data up to a certain period, maybe in some cases up to 30 days, in some cases up to 60 days, in some cases up to 90 days also. But normally maximum up to 90 days data are being considered while calculating the drawing power of any working capital limit being sanctioned by these banks. What happens, friends, that if the debtors are not realized on time, on one hand, these MSMEs, as I told earlier, it's a threat on their ability to trade. They are not able to get additional orders or the next order. That is the one problem. The another problem will be because the debtors of more than any specified period, as I told about 90 days, the bankers will not consider those debtors as their working capital for calculating the drawing power. So their working capital finance will be reduced by the banks, and their cash flow will be adversely affected due to non-availability of the payment, or I'll say timely payment from their debtors. It creates a mismatch in the cash flow. And I have seen, perhaps you might have seen many of your clients' cases being turned into NPA or under stress, SMA2, SMA1, because of the delayed payment, because of no fault of these MSMEs, because they supplied the goods or provided the services to their buyers, to their customers in good faith, assuming that the payments will be made to them within a agreed period. So today, I will discuss some innovative ways on solution for delayed payment to these MSMEs. Why I'm saying this thing? Why I'm saying these are innovative ways? Because normally what happens when any payment is stuck up, normally what any businessman will do, they will send a legal notice, they will file a civil suit, which I feel again creates a problem on these MSMEs, because the opposite party many times doesn't even appear at the courts. They take date and again another date and another date, तारीख पे तारीख, तारीख पे तारीख, या तो वो ये लेते रहते हैं उनके buyers. And these MSMEs, they have to go to the court on every dates, invest a lot of money on the fees to be paid to the advocates and so on and so forth. So I will not discuss these normal recovery cases in today's talk. I will talk some innovative ways, some new ways, some faster ways by which these MSMEs will be able to recover their delayed payment. So you can help as a professional to assist these MSMEs in recovery of their delayed payment, I suppose, with the help of these 4 topics which I will discuss today. So one is, and all these are statutory provisions, friends. So one is protection under the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. Perhaps you all will be aware that this MSMED Act was enacted on 2nd of October 2006, and there are specific sections under this section for recovery of delayed payment to these MSME. The second aspect I will discuss is protection under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. The third is discounting of bills under TRADS. And then I will discuss one initiative being taken by us through Chamber of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and Indian MSME Helpline Private Limited as nodefaulters.com. This is an initiative being taken by us, considering the provision, considering the problems being faced by these MSME. So let us first start about protection under the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. Friends, again, I am requesting whenever you have any issue, please ask a question. And you may ask question after I finish this protection under Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. then I'll try to answer your question and we can just shift to the next course of action for solution on delayed payment to MSMEs. Let me first inform you that this protection under the MSMED Act 2006 is available only to micro and small enterprises. So the enterprises which have investment in plant and machinery up to 10 crore rupees and turnover up to 50 crore rupees are covered under this protection, which is being given to them under the MSMED Act 2006. So again, investment in plant and machinery up to 10 crore rupees and turnover up to 50 crore rupees will be covered under micro and small enterprises. It has been provided under the Act that payment to these enterprises has to be made within 45 days from the acceptance of the invoice. If they don't pay, then what? Then the Act provides that compound interest with monthly rest. Please underline monthly rest. It will have a greater impact. Monthly rest to the supplier at 3 times of the bank rate notified by Reserve Bank of India, meaning thereby that if any buyer doesn't pay within 45 days of acceptance of invoice of any micro and small enterprises, it has to pay principal along with compound interest with monthly rest at 3 times of the bank rate notified by Reserve Bank of India. So this is not a bank rate which normally banks charge, but it is a bank rate which is notified by Reserve Bank of India, which may be around 4% or so as on today. Even if they don't pay after a specified time, a reference has to be made by these micro and small enterprises at MSE Facilitation Council. I'll let you know how this reference to MSE Facilitation Council has to be made by these MSCs. So I'll just refer you a section 15 under the MSMED Act, liability of buyer to make payment. Where any supplier supplies any goods or renders any services to the buyer shall make payment thereof on or before the date agreed upon between him and the supplier in writing, or where there is no agreement in this behalf before the appointed date, provided that in no case the period agreed upon between the supplier and buyer in writing shall exceed 45 days from the day of acceptance or the day of deemed acceptance. So I suppose I have already discussed this thing with you. Another very important section is section 16, date from which and rate at which interest is payable. I have already discussed with you, explained this to you, but I can just read the section. Where any buyer fails to make payment of the amount to the supplier as required under section 15, the buyer shall, notwithstanding anything contained in any agreement between the buyer and supplier or in any law for the time being in force, be liable to pay compound interest with monthly rest to the supplier on that amount from the appointed date, or as the case may be from the date immediately following the date agreed upon at 3 times of the bank rate notified by Reserve Bank of India. Friends, I have already explained this to you. This also I have informed to you that section 18 refers to reference to micro and small enterprise facilitation council, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, any party to a dispute may, with regard to any amount due under section 17, make a reference to the micro and small enterprise facilitation council. So here 2-3 very important things I will like to discuss with you before moving forward, and before informing you that how this reference has to be made with micro and small enterprises facilitation council. Friends, as I told you that the payment has to be made to these micro and small enterprises within 45 days. Now take an example that suppose the buyer and seller both agreed that the payment will be made on 90th day. Then what? So the things are very clear that this is provided under the Act that if payment is made after 45 days, interest is to be paid at this specified rate, which I have already discussed with you. So even if the payment is made on 90th date, which is agreed by buyer and seller both, still the payment has to be made along with the interest for the balance 45 days. So I suppose this should be clear to you. One very important thing I would also like to emphasize here, as an auditor, whenever you go and finalize any balance sheet, please ensure that these provisions are duly compiled with by the company, by your client. What does it mean by this? So you need to ask, you need to inquire from your client that please give me a list of your debtors which are under micro and small enterprises category. And whenever you find that there is a delay of payment beyond 45 days, please ask them to make a provision of the interest as provided under MSMED Act 2006. You will be very aware that there have been an MSME form number 1 being introduced by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which has to be filed every 6 months by every company. In that form also, it has to be kept in mind that because one form is to be filed for the period from 1st of April to 30th September, and the another form is to be filed from 1st of October till 31st of March of any financial year. For these two periods need to be covered for form number MSME 1 to be filed with Ministry of Corporate Affairs by every company. Here, one question may arise that suppose there is a delay in between this 6 period over a period of 45 days, and as on date of say 30th September or 31st March, if there is no outstanding of that party, whether it has to be reported or not, friend, this has to be reported. So even if there is no outstanding as on 30th September or 31st of March, but there has been a delay beyond 45 days for payment to any micro and small enterprises, please ensure that those details are also to be incorporated in this MSME Form 1. And again, I repeat this, please ensure that provision of interest is made for every delay beyond 45 days if the delay is against the payment to micro and small enterprises. But how can you ascertain that the buyer is a micro and small enterprises or not? So you can advise to your clients that they should send a mail, a communication, a letter, whatever way they wish, to all their debtors that please ensure to let us know if you belong to a MSME category, and if yes, ask them their Udyog Aadhaar or Udyam registration certificate. And a specified period may be given in this communication that if we do not receive this communication, this confirmation from you, we will assume that you do not fall within the micro and small enterprise category. So this as a precaution you can take. And even if your client do not provide any information, you can give a note to that in your audit report or something. I have a lot of questions. So before moving forward, let me take some question. If MSME vendor has supplied part material but have raised full invoice, can we say that amount paid for material supplied will be treated as compliance, though full payment against invoice is not done? No, but I am surprised to receive this query. How anybody can raise a material? How anybody can raise an invoice if the material is not supplied? So perhaps there is a fault on the vendor side by raising an invoice of the full amount without supplying the material. whether MSME or IBC, which one is overriding to other. This is a very legal question, in fact, and there are many cases. We'll definitely discuss this thing. How can we extract the information of delayed payment from the accounts of the auditee? Can we depend on the information provided by the client, or should we carry out investigation from the accounts of the client whether any payment to MSME was delayed or not? See, when you will do the audit of your client, definitely you will definitely see the ledger accounts of their debtors. From their debtors, you will easily be able to find out if bill is raised on which date and payment is made on which date. If payment terms as per industries and written oral agreement is more than 60 days, kindly clarify about the interest as per MSME Act. Perhaps I tried to clarify this thing. Again, I'll clarify that there can be an agreement between buyer and seller to get the payment and to receive the payment even after 45 days, maybe 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, after 1 year. So buyer and seller both can agree for the payment terms, but Act is very clear that interest has to be provided if the payment is made beyond 45 days. So if, as per your query, if there is a written or oral agreement normally doesn't fall, doesn't create any legal binding. But even if there is any written agreement for payment of 60 days or more, you have to ensure that interest is provided for a period which is beyond 45 days. What is the law applicable if vendor is a MSME? So, friends, here you have to see only the vendor side. But there is no bar on the buyer side. So buyer can be another MSME, buyer can be a large corporate, buyer can be a government company, buyer can be a public sector enterprise, buyer can be anybody. But this facility is available only to micro and small enterprises. So the vendor need to be an MSE, not MSME, micro and small enterprise. What is the law applicable if vendor is a MSME? So again, I suppose I have clarified it. So vendor has to be, seller has to be a micro and small enterprise. What if payment is under sub judice with MSCFC Council? So yes, that we will discuss. That if the payment is not made by the buyer to the vendor, to the seller within 45 days or within a normal time period, then they can file an application online on the Samadhan portal, which we'll discuss for a reference to MSEFC, which is called Micro and Small Enterprise Facilitation Council. If the payments are delayed to MSME, what is the recourse to MSMEs to get their payment promptly? Perhaps this is the issue, dear, we are discussing here. We are discussing the recourse which are available to these MSME, and the first one we are discussing, protection under Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act. Do MSME have any forum to enforce recovery of overdue other than normal civil litigation? Yes, I have already discussed that civil litigation is very time consuming. So this Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act 2006 provides protection against delayed payment to at least micro and small enterprises, not to medium enterprises. Can we, being MSME, revoke the UDIN when payment is not received within a reasonable time? No. I feel your question is that you, being a professional, and you have taken your Udyam or Udyog Aadhaar registration, you as a professional are MSME, and yes, I fully agree that we, being all chartered accountant in service in profession, are under the category of MSME, being service provider. Please, everybody should take this Udyam registration, which is available free of cost at udyamregistration.gov.in. But you need not to revoke your UDIN, because you never know on which forums your certificate has already been used. So don't revoke your UDIN. You insist for your payment through various modes, which we are discussing today. A service provider done the registration for MSME recently, but the payment was related to prior to MSME registration. So can service provider take the shelters of MSME?
Okay,
Yes.
I've found this on the web for his provider done the registration for Msme recently, but the payment was related to prior to Msme registration.
So here, this is an important question, but recently in a court decision, it has been clarified that as on the date of service being provided or goods being supplied, this Udyam registration or MSME registration should be intact. MSME supplier supplied material with invoice, but due to quality problem, material need to rework, and MSME supplier did rework at their customer premises. It took 2 months and invoice cleared for payment after 70 days. Advice for interest applicability. See, when we say that payment has to be made within 45 days, so within 45 days of what? Within 45 days of acceptance of invoices. If the supplier has supplied some below quality, below standard goods, you cannot say that the material has been supplied. So the day will start from the date when the goods is supplied as required by the buyer. One of our client recovered principal amount through section 138 of Negotiable Instrument Act, means check dishonor proceeding. Now can we file MSME proceeding to recover of interest amount, which should be approximately 40 lakh, taken 12% per annum as interest? Why section 16? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Hospital can apply for MSME Samadhan cases. Yes. How is a supplier identified as MSME if there is no indication on invoice, etc., given by the supplier? How is a supplier identified as MSME if there is no indication on invoice, etc., given by the supplier? Yes. So I always advise one thing. Yesterday also I was at Faridabad branch of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I advise always that we, being the chartered accountant, the professionals, should invariably get this Udyam registration printed on all our invoices. And we should advise our clients also that whenever you get your invoice printed, along with your GST registration, please print your Udyam registration also on the invoice, along with the category under which you fall. Money, if you fall under micro, you mention this thing. If you fall under small, you also please print it on your invoice. That is very important. And as you are saying that how the supplier is identified as MSME, so this MSME, whenever there is any delayed payment, perhaps they will inform you that I am an MSME and my payment has been delayed. I would like to charge the interest also. So let us move forward. I would now like to let you know, friends, that what is the procedure. So procedure is that these MSCFCs have been created at every state. Most of the states have created more than one MSCFC, Facilitation Council. When I say MSCFC, it's mean Micro Small Enterprise Facilitation Council. So I can speak in short, MSCFC. So many states have more than one MSCFC in their state. We are trying and we are requesting the government that these MSCFC should be at every district of every state. So what are the required documents? One is Udyog Aadhaar number or Udyam registration. The another is Aadhaar number which is linked with the mobile number. of any director, partner, or proprietor, buyer's detail, and the work order and invoices. So these are the documents which you will be requiring for filing your complaint or the complaint of your client on this e-Samadhan portal, which is an online portal. So here is the complete procedure. Please go to this samadhan.msme.gov.in. This is the website address where you need to file your case for referring your case to MSCFC. So please note it down, samadhan.msme.gov.in. It will be like this on your computer screen. You can find a blue color tab which will have mentioned on it as case filing for entrepreneur / MSc unit. So as I told you earlier that what are the documents required. So I told you that you need your Udyog Aadhaar or Udyam registration and the Aadhaar number of any of the proprietor, partner, or director, which is linked with the mobile number. So here, when you will click on case filing for entrepreneurs / MSc units, you will find this type of screen. You need to mention your Udyog Aadhaar number or Udyam registration and the Aadhaar number, and there is a captcha. Please type as it is, whatever is mentioned here. The OTP will reach to the mobile number linked with the Aadhaar. This screen will be a pre-filled information of the enterprise being the complainant. So because you already have the Udyam registration or the Udyog Aadhaar registration, so these information will be pre-filled. You can just recheck these things. And now you have to file the buyer's detail. So you have to select the category of the respondent, which is an individual, company, partnership, whatever, state of respondent, name of the respondent means buyer, district of the buyer respondent, address, complete address, mobile number of the buyer or respondent, email address of the buyer or respondent, and the amount of default. So you have to fill these information. Please ensure that the mobile number and the email address is correctly mentioned, because once you will file your complaint, immediately a notice will go to the respondent being your buyer from the MSCFC. Now these documents are to be uploaded. One is work order as point number 7, and the other is invoices detail at point number 8. You will see that there are only 3 rows: 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3, meaning thereby that you can upload maximum 3 work order or maximum 3 invoices. So there may be a question that if I have 20 invoices, what I need to do, whether every time I'll have to re-log in, submit, complete the process. So no, you can do only with one PDF file. So please, if you have more than 3 invoices or more than 3 work orders, please prepare a PDF file compiling all the work orders and all the invoices and upload in one file. And then you click the submit. All the details will be in front of you. you need to verify the details about yourself, about your buyers. Please verify. If there is any mistake, go back and make it correct, and then submit it. So I'll just recap it. Go to samadhan.msme.gov.in. Click case filing for entrepreneurs MSME unit. Enter Udyog Aadhaar या Udyam registration. Enter Aadhaar number or mobile number of the proprietor, partner, or director. Enter verification code. Enter OTP for verification, which will come on your mobile. Applicant details you can see pre-filled. Enter the buyer's detail. While submitting the buyer's detail, ensure that phone number and email ID is correctly mentioned. Upload work order, invoice details, verify details as final submission, and do the final submission. So here is everything I wanted to tell you about this protection under micro, small, and medium enterprises, and how we can do it. After you submit it, it will go to MSCFC. They will immediately send a intimation to the buyer also that one complaint has been received. They will verify the documents and will convert into case. Will call both the parties and will try to conciliation of the claim. And if there is no settlement being arrived amongst the buyers and the seller, the case will be referred to arbitration. So if you have any questions, Sambitji, if we have any more questions, please let me know.
Within 2 minutes, I am sending.
Pardon?
Within 2 minutes, I am sending to you.
Okay. Okay. So friends, we can take a 2-minute break and then we'll move to the next.
No break, sir. I am giving right now.
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. So by the time I get the yeah, oh, there are number of questions. So good, yeah. As requested by me, perhaps you have accepted my request and sending so many questions. Thank you very much. I also learned, in fact, out of these questions. The council formed under MSME Samadhan for resolving delayed payments to MSME in Kerala keep asking 3 sets of hard copies of nearly 12 documents, including audited balance sheet, affidavit in stamp paper worth rupees 200, in prescribed performa, etc. These are all cumbersome procedure mean to torturing further the MSMEs. Is there any statutory provision in the MSME Act 2006 to make these council of various states to be act sensible and pragmatically? What other remedies are available for MSMEs? So, Sambiji, if the name of the professional who is asking the question is also there, will be very good, but still no problem. Good question. I would like to answer this in the way that, see, there is an act, MSMED Act, and there are no centralized rules, regulation under this act. What happened, in fact, the central government told all the state government to form their rules and regulations for delayed payment to MSMEs. Every state government has formed their rules, and yet that is the problem which we are also facing, and we are taking this matter with the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. I had many meetings with the minister in past about a month. I discussed this issue at Vigyan Bhavan also, just on 22nd of the month. But yes, different states have different rules. So it may be in case of Kerala that they may be asking 3 sets of hard copies of the documents along with some 200 rupees of stamp paper. This will be, you can do one thing. You can go to a website, nodefaulters.com, wherein we have compiled rules of each and every state as related to this delayed payment issue. You can kindly find out, friend, that what are the rules of Kerala state government. If there is any ambiguity in the rules being framed by the state government and the documents being called by any MSCFC, because what happened, I am also, representing some MSCFCs under this MSMED Act as a special member. And I found that most of the time what happens, in fact, because these MSCFCs are chaired by director of industries or the district magistrate, many times they are also busy in their other activities, administrative activities, and so on and so forth. So maybe that any MSCFC is also not aware about the rules being framed by the state government. So my request is to please go to nodefaulters.com. We have compiled all the state government's rules on this particular subject. Please see this Kerala state government rules on this delayed payment to micro and small enterprises. And if there is any ambiguity, you can refer this to the MSCFC. If not, my request will be, there is no harm in providing 3 sets of hard copy and a petition to them, and request them to act quickly. One very important information I would like to share. Even if with all your hard work, there is some issue, please feel free to write me. Sambiji, you can share my email ID. At the end of the presentation, I will also share.
Yes,
You
yes,
Sambiji, you can share
yes,
my email ID.
yeah.
Friends, we are friends. As a teamwork, we'll try to find out some solution in the interest of these MSCs. Please do write me, giving the reference of maybe today's seminar. I will try my best. I can write directly to the Chief Minister of the concerned state, along with the Minister of MSME, to look into it. And we have seen in past that when we from the chamber side write this thing, actions happens. Would it not be the another question? Would it not be better if the MSME vendors are required to indicate their Udyam registration on their invoices? Friends, I have already advised in. This is the very important advice, and please do it on your invoice and advise all your clients that along with the GST number, if GST is important, GST is compulsory, please ensure that this Udyam registration is also mentioned on your invoice. Not only the number, please also mention the category, whether you fall under micro or small enterprises. What if MSCFC does not give its decision within 90 days of making reference? I suppose you are well aware of the Act. In the Act, it has been provided that MSCFC has to give their decision within 90 days of making any reference. But it is not happening. It is not happening. I agree. And perhaps you can't do anything except following up with them. If buyer is not MSME, then also we can make reference for amount in default. So as I told you, there is no bar as regards to buyer. Buyer need not to be MSME. Buyer may be an MSME, buyer may not be an MSME. This protection is to the seller, and seller has to micro and small enterprises. Can a MSME take recourse under both MSMED Act and as well as IBC, both for recovery of pending dues? No, you cannot do window shopping. When no mention about interest for delayed payment in the invoice by an MSME, can he take shelters under section 16 of the MSME Act? Yes, they can. Because whether it is mentioned on their invoice or not, it is mentioned in the Act. How can Act impose interest provision if both the buyer and seller are not willing to pay and accept the interest, giving more importance to business relations? It is up to them. So negotiation and negotiation is always welcome. If both buyer and seller say that no need to pay interest, then it's okay. So negotiation in the business always happens. whether interest to provided for medium enterprises also, or it applies only to the micro and small. Perhaps I have replied this question many times that only micro and small enterprises are covered. And one more thing, which we are, taking up with the ministry, that the act is Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Act. The ministry name is Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. That is the ministry. But most of the schemes, I'll say almost all the schemes are only for micro and small enterprises. What if goods are not as per specified quality? Wow, very good question. So you need that the goods are not as per specified quality. Still, you want principal and interest both. In my opinion, even the principal is not payable. If the micro seller has availed facilities on the arrangement of facilities by buyer, wherein repayment will be made to the finance company beyond, say, 180 days, still will it be necessary to state that the payment is not made to MSME? I'm unable to understand your question. If the micro seller has availed facilities on the arrangement facilitated by the buyer, wherein repayment will be made to the finance company beyond, say, 180 days, still will it be necessary to state that the payment is not made to MSME? Sorry, I'm unable to understand the question. Please redraft it and resend it. Whether WDV value as income tax can be considered for counting value of investment? Good question, though it is not covered under today's topic being given to me, but I'll try to explain you. The definition of MSME was given under the Act, which was passed during 2006, 2nd of October. Since then till 2020, there was no change in the investment in plant and machinery. So there was only one category, which was investment in plant and machinery for manufacturing sector and investment in equipments for service sector. Because earlier, before 2020, June 2020, there was a different criteria for manufacturing and service sector. With effect from June 26th of June, when this circular came, so manufacturing and service sectors were clubbed, and there was no difference. Earlier, the investment in plant and machinery or the equipment was on the gross value. But with this change in the definition, it has been mentioned now that the investment in plant and machinery will be taken as per the Income Tax Act and as per the Income Tax Act, it said WDV. So it is a very big change. Now, investment in plant and machinery is based on the WDV, because the department is automatically taking it from the income tax side. What if reference made to MSFC not decided within specified 90 days? I already clarified this. Can council members conduct conciliation in dispute or act as a conciliator? So the role of the council member or these councils is try for the conciliation between the buyers and the seller, and if there is no conciliation happen, if it fails, then matter is referred to arbitrator. Can you elaborate the use or benefit of MSME registration for CA firm or any other? Yes, it's a very big topic. So there are number of schemes being available to micro and small enterprises. Number of schemes are there. So I suppose I need a full day. So I will request Sambit Mishra ji, if some other opportunity is being given to me, I will discuss, because that's a very big topic, that what are the schemes being available to micro, small and medium enterprises, some of which are the collateral free loan, PMEGP loan, interest subvention, that subsidy on IPR, patent, trademark. So there are number of schemes being available for micro and small enterprises, be it a manufacturing or a service provider. There are a lot of benefits for MSME registration for any service provider or the manufacturer, and you being the chartered accountant in practice is a service provider. So my request is, please avail this. One big benefit is which I am talking today. Such service provided before Udyam registration, same can be covered under this? No. Our company is B2B SaaS company, I have two questions. Number one, some customers give excuse that software product implementation not done correctly, so they hold payment. Some customer used our product for some time and then stopped using and never paid for the time they used. They are no longer our customer now. How to handle these two situations? Thanks. So, very important suggestion I would like to give based on this question particularly. Always try to take a proper work order before you start any job. Don't believe on telephone orders or oral orders. Whenever you start any work, please insist a work order mentioning all the terms and conditions very clearly. That uh, so in your case, as you are doing some software consultancy, and you told that implementation not done correctly. If the implementation is not done correctly, if there is any dispute, nobody can help you out. But then you say that some customers used our product for some time. So if the use during that some time is to their utmost satisfaction, you need to take an acceptance of the invoice. So my suggestion to you will be that please take a proper work order and start the work only after the absolute work order defining all the terms and condition properly. What if the vendor sent his invoice late? So I suppose I have already explained it that this 45 days is from the date of acceptance of invoices. So if you are not sending, suppose you send, and I am unable to understand, if you are sending the goods and not sending the invoice along with the goods, is a surprise to me. But even if you are doing so, you are supplying the goods and you are not sending the invoices, the payment is not due until you send the invoice. The turnover of the party is 170 crore in 2021, 140 crore in 2022. But while migrating to Udyam from Udyog Aadhaar number, it is taking turnover of 2020, which was 300 crore, and as such not eligible for Udyam. Can we request and ask the Udyam authority to consider turnover of 21 for granting Udyam registration to the party? The fixed assets of the party are well below the in 2020 also and in coming years. So see, the situation is that in the revised Udyam registration, you need not to mention your turnover, right? The portal automatically takes the turnover from the income tax department. So if you already filed your return for the year 2021, your turnover of 2021 has to be taken by this Udyam registration. Even if you feel any problem, please do write to me. I will ensure that I'll try to get it sorted out with the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. And one more very important thing, that now in turnover, export turnover has been excluded. So if out of say 500 crore turnover, if 400 crore is export turnover, though your turnover will be taken as 100 crore only. Can a person file application on Samadhan portal for supply of goods if he did not have Udyam registration at the time of issuing invoice but obtained registration later on? Supreme Court has clarified you cannot. If EVFS scheme also covered under MSME? Those I could not understand what is this EVFS. Perhaps this is the way of my learning. Please let me know what is this EVFS. When filing case, there is limit on data to be filed 2 MB maximum, but I have to submit more than 100 invoice. How can I do it? So you can, as I was just discussing, you can file 3 invoices or 3 work order at a time. So you can prepare 3 files and see if it is less than 2 MB each. So out of these 100 invoices, you may segregate it 30 invoice in one file, maybe another 30 invoice in one file, second file, and rest 40 invoice in the third file. And if you find that these 3 files are more than 2 MB, then you can again log in and again file the balance invoices. Sir, can I know what are the benefits for taking MSME registration? If you can, where we can check in your channel. Okay. Perhaps you have seen my YouTube channel, which I started, in fact, accidentally or incidentally, because somebody from the ministry was sitting in our office and we were discussing about some schemes, and we were not aware about the scheme. In fact, then we came to know from the website that that scheme is already there. So I decided that, if we are not aware, maybe some ministry person may also not be aware, not because of any of his fault, because they may be busy in the department uh, in which they are working under the ministry. There is a large number of departments. So I just asked one of my office colleague that if we are not aware, how can we expect that these MSMEs will be and should be aware about these schemes? So let us make a video on this and post somewhere. By that time, just believe me, I was not aware about the YouTube and so on. So he asked me where to post these video. So I told wherever these videos are, I don't know. He asked that some account has to be created, and like that it happened. And I started this MSME helpline. As on today, we have about 4 crore viewers and about 8.9 lakhs subscriber. With your blessings, maybe many of you may be on this channel with me. I have posted videos, a very important video on all MSME schemes. Uh, so you can just watch that all MSME schemes on this MSME helpline YouTube channel, and perhaps you will find all the schemes being available to MSMEs. If work order is not available, then what to do? Good question. Then you need to file an affidavit on this Samadhan portal. And in the this affidavit, you could please mention that these invoices have been raised as per requirement of the buyer. Sir, I have filed complaint on 5th of June 2020 with MSME and submitted all the documents, complaint, invoice copy, form 26AS for TDS deduction, but no action is taken by MSME till now. Please send a mail to me giving today's reference in the subject line. My mail ID is info@msmehelpline.com or info@indiansmechamber.com. I suppose Mr. Sambit Patra, you can, Sambit Mishra ji, you can just mention in the chat box also if it is convenient to you. If MSME is liable to another MSME, then also protection is available and interest will be charged. Yes, as I told many times that buyer can be anybody. It can be another MSME also. Whether client needs to lodge complaint on Samadhan portal at each of the state where client has place of business having common PAN, client is falling under MSC category. Whether client needs to lodge complaint on Samadhan portal in each of the state where client has place of business. No. So what happens in fact, it is automatically when you will file a wherever you have got your registration on which address, it will automatically go to the concerned MSCFC. Sir, suppose in any particular year we are falling under MSME limits, but in subsequent year we cross the threshold limit of MSME, will we still be treated as MSME organization? Kindly suggest. So, friends, it's an important question. Earlier, before this 2020, there was a clause that if you upgrade to the next level, for next 3 years, you will be able to avail all the facilities of the category from which you have been upgraded. Now that has been withdrawn. Now the upgradation is under the upgradation. So if you are upgraded from micro to small or small to medium or medium to large corporate or a large enterprise, this facility will be available only for 1 year. So for next 1 year, after your upgradation, you can avail the facility. Can a MSME recover interest if the buyer is proprietor, proprietorship, partnership, LLP, private limited, limited? Definitely. There is no bar on the buyer side. Amount of default include amount of interest, but while filing the case, I forgot to include interest amount in it. What can I do for it? File another application there. In the absence of written contract or agreement with buyer, can a vendor can upload invoice without agreement or contract? Yes, as I told you, I suggested you that if you don't have the work order till now, After today, every order should be started with a work order in hand only, right? So if you don't have the work order, please file the complaint with an affidavit. Sambit, I suppose all the questions are replied.
Set of question will be provided to you after this session is all about.
Okay. Okay. So friends, let us move to another important tool in your hand. This tool is available to MSME or non-MSME, to every enterprise, insolvency and bankruptcy code. This is not a recovery code. I will clarify this for your information, but is proving a good tool in the hands of any seller. So here, three conditions need to be fulfilled to be able to avail the facilities for solution of delayed payment. Default should be of rupees 1 crore or more. It was earlier 1 lakh only. Now it has been increased to 1 crore. So maybe many of the MSMEs may not be able to avail this facility because they are outstanding on with one buyer rarely is 1 crore rupees or more. There should not be any pre-existing dispute and buyer should be a corporate. Here there is some condition, some restriction on the buyer side. So buyer need to be a corporate if you want to avail this facility. What does it mean by corporate? So it has to be registered with Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So LLP, private limited company. These type of buyers, if you have, you can go under insolvency and bankruptcy code. So these three conditions need to be fulfilled if you really want to avail the facility under insolvency and bankruptcy code. The process is simple. A demand notice giving 10 days time need to be sent to the buyer, provided it's a corporate. And if no payment is received within 10 days, you need to file an application to the Honorable Adjudicating Authority, which is National Company Law Tribunal, after this 10 days. This is very important tool. We have observed that many sellers, be they are MSME or non-MSME, have been able to recover their amount with the help of insolvency and bankruptcy code, because the implications are very severe. Once this application is admitted by the Honorable NCLT, the present directors of the company are suspended. One professional will be appointed. Many of you might be resolution professional. Those are appointed by NCLT. The process will be completed in 180 days and individual insolvency of director will start. So any questions on this mode of recovery? Somebody, if you have something, please share with me.
Yeah, sir. I'm sharing.
Please.
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो इंफॉर्मेशन में आप
In the meantime, friends, you may also let me know, are you having some information? Are you enjoying the session or not? You may write in the chat box so that our Secretary Sambit Mishra ji, Secretary to the MSME and the Startup Committee, may let me know. And please be in touch. Whenever you have any problem, just send a mail to me. I will try to reply each and every mail. I'll also try to find out some solutions of the problems being faced by your clients or by my professional colleagues. So, question and again questions. Good. So, I have another set of questions. In fact, what should be done if verbal work order was accepted? So, whatever has been done is done. You can't do anything. If you want to file an application at MSCFC or at IBC, so please file an affidavit. Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. So what should be done if verbal verbal work order was accepted? I suppose I have explained you that for verbal work order, if you want to file, so an affidavit has to be filed along with the complaint. Here, work order and invoice are compulsory field. Do we need to have both with us? So if you don't have the work order, please under the work order column, please upload the affidavit. Can we file case for supplies made without work order? Yes, you can. In how many days MSCFC respond? Very tough question to answer. Act provides that within 90 days they should complete the process. But as I told earlier, so in sometimes you have to follow up with them. They have a lot of workload, or you can refer it to me also. I can also help you out. In case of one have more than one enterprise, whether registration one or more under Udyog Aadhar. See, every enterprise is a separate entity. Perhaps we, the professionals, know it very well. So if there is one partnership firm, one private limited company, one proprietorship company, so you have to take registration for each and every enterprise, because the registration is based on one permanent account number, one registration. If any deposit is given to other party by an MSME or obtaining franchisee dealership and other party defaults in returning the same, whether such default will also be covered and can be referred for resolution. There are different opinions by different MSCFC. You can try filing your case. Some MSCFC, some states accept this, some doesn't accept it. Can we make complaint against government department in case of unnecessary delay of payment? 100%. As I told you, there is no bar on the buyer side. So against the government department, PSU, anything, anybody, a buyer may be any constitution, private or government, you can. My application dated 5/6/2020, but no action. What should I do? Perhaps I have already replied you that you may refer it to me also. What is the forum to appeal against the order passed by MSCFC? CA Nitish Sharma ji. Nitish ji, in fact, I suppose you are saying that the order is against you being passed by MSCFC. As on today, there is no appeal system on the order being passed by MSCFC. We are requesting this thing, taking it very seriously with the government that there should be an appellate authority for MSCFC. But I don't know what is the order being passed, because normally MSCFC tied to either conciliation or it is referred to arbitration. So what order against you is passed, please discuss with me. Whether two companies with common shareholder and common family members as director collectively exceeding the limit of investment or turnover can be registered as MSME, and in case of partnership with common partner. As I told you that this MSME registration is based on the permanent account number. So different partnership firm will be having different permanent account number, and you need to get Udyam registration for each of the enterprise. Given poor negotiating bargaining power of MSMEs, can the MSME afford to due to poor financial and commercial capabilities of MSMEs, why Government of India cannot make factoring without recourse mandatory and relieve them of creation difficulties? Let the bank of MSME factoring the bill pursue the collective responsibility. I am coming on this slide where we are. Perhaps I'll try to give answer to your question under this category. As you rightly told, without recourse. So we will discuss with recourse and without recourse in this chapter. If a supplier has filed a case with MSCFC Council under MSMED Act 2006 for the claims against the contract which were executed entered prior to the date of registration under the provision of the Act, will the supplier still be eligible for the benefits of provision under MSMED Act? Mr. PC Mera, no. Earlier Udyog Aadhaar not registered, can any person take new registration and claim for old payments? No. Once Udyam registration is taken, is there any annual statement to be filed? No, there is no statement to be filed after getting the Udyam registration. So no compliance. So you should take the Udyam registration. How is the change in status from micro to small, etc., made known to the ministry? As I told you, it is now linked with your income tax and GST department. So they will be able to update it online automatically. My client is registered as MSME having Udyam UAM, and now while migrating to Udyam, okay, so they were registered as Udyog Aadhaar, and now while migrating to Udyam, the portal is taking turnover of 2020. This I have already replied to. If buyer is government entity like CGHS, Maharashtra Police Department, will it be covered under IBC? As I told you, friends, that only the corporate. So the public sector enterprises, if you'll ask that maybe Steel Authority of India Limited, when Limited is there in the name of the company, BHEL, these type of public sector undertaking will be covered, those which are registered under Ministry of Corporate Affairs, but the companies you mentioned like CGHS, Maharashtra Police Department will not be covered under IBC. In this IBC 2016, can a medium size can also file an application, as under Samadhan medium size are not eligible to file. I already explained this thing, that in case of IBC, buyer's classification is not material. Here only the the supplier's classification is not material. A supplier may be, or the vendor may be anybody. It can be MSME, it can be non-MSME, it can be private limited, it can be partnership. But in IBC, the buyer's constitution is important. Only the enterprises which are registered as corporate under Ministry of Corporate Affairs, you can file case against them only. What is the role of resolution professional in ongoing affairs of the company? आप ये समझ लीजिए कि वो उस कंपनी का पूरा CMD हो जाता है, मतलब he has to manage each and everything of that company. MSME is PAN-based registration or GST number-based registration, meaning thereby at the time of taking MSME registration, having registration in Delhi only, now having registration in 2 more states, and goods supplied to defaulter buyer is not from Delhi, then also can be lodged complaint from one MSME registration number. See, earlier the situation was that any enterprise was able to get as many registrations. Suppose there is company ABC Limited or ABC Partnership Firm. If they have one manufacturing unit in Delhi, one in Noida, one in Saharanpur, one in Chennai, one in Maharashtra, Mumbai, they were able to get MSME registration for each and every unit based on the individual units investment, and turnover was not the criteria. So only based on the investment of that particular unit. Now the situation has changed. It has been told that one enterprise can take only one MSME registration. What is the limit of 15 lakh in standard procedure by Government of India? What is the limit of 15 lakhs in standard procedure by Government of India? I am unable to understand which scheme you are talking about for this 15 lakh. Under IBC option, the MSME units are treated as unsecured creditor. What is the order of setting or to unsecured creditor for money recovered from the corporate buyer? A very interesting question. And we are fighting for it. See, these operational creditors are at the bottom, in fact. So in the waterfall mechanism, there is a waterfall mechanism, and in the waterfall mechanism under IBC, these operational creditors, being the suppliers, are at the bottom. Can a person discount receivables if he has CC limit, hypothecation of stock and debtors? Good question. Again, you can take funds against any asset at once only, dear. So if you have your CC limit, you can definitely discount your bill, but those debtors you cannot take for calculating drawing power under your CC limit. I suppose I am clear. So the third thing is discounting of bills through trade receivables. Trades in an online exchange platform. There are 3 platforms as on today. Here the system is like that, suppliers upload their invoices or bills for goods and services. Once buyer accepts the bills online, the financiers bid for the accepted invoices or bills. Discounting of the bill would be without recourse to the supplier MSME. So here situation and the procedure is that MSME has to register themselves with one of the platform. As I told, there are 3 platforms for these trades, and once they upload the bill, these MSMEs upload the bill, the buyer need to accept the invoice. Once buyer accepts the invoice, there are number of lenders, public sector bank, private sector banks, NBFCs, they are available and looking to these trade platform. They see which is the buyer. Normally, these funding are based on the net worth and credibility of the buyer. Because of this, the MSME get very competitive and very charming rate of interest also for discounting of these bills. And this discounting is without recourse. Without recourse, I suppose you all will be aware what is the meaning of without recourse, but just to repeat it, I'll just let you know that without recourse means that suppose I am an MSME, I supplied some goods to BHEL, I upload the bill on it, BHEL accept my bills, some bank discount that bill, and on due date, BHEL refuse to make the payment. Then can this bank come to me and ask me that your buyer has refused to make the payment on the due date, so now you need to make the payment to me because I have discounted your bill? No, it is without recourse, meaning thereby that even if the buyer refused to make the payment as on the due date, the lender cannot come back to the supplier. There are some mandatory registration as far as the buyers are concerned. All central public sector enterprises and all other private companies with annual turnover of 500 crore or more are required to be registered as buyer on these trade platform. We are trying our best to make this limit 250 crore or more. The third one is nodefaulters.com. We have initiated this nodefaulters.com. It's a portal wherein what we are doing, we are requesting the MSMEs to please report your default on this portal, and we are then trying to contact the buyers. We are taking all legal actions also. We are helping out in filing the case with the MSCFC, with the IBC, or taking any other action. We are providing the service of online legal notices also in case of 138 or so on, because most of the time these MSMEs, find it difficult to find an advocate to go to their office. So what we have done, we have created this portal wherein they can just upload some document online. We draft the notice. Our legal team is there. They draft the notice, send the draft notice to the MSMEs. They can see it. Everything is online. No mail, nothing. They have to log in, and this draft notice will be available on their dashboard. They can see it. If they want some value addition or some changes or some mistakes they find, they can inform it through the portal itself. Our legal team, can discuss with these MSMEs, finalize the notice, and send it to the respondent. So this is another initiative being taken by us. That one very important thing will be here in days to come. That suppose somebody has an order from a company. There is no system how to do the due diligence, whether to accept the order or not to accept. Here they can check that how many defaults have been reported against that buyer, if any, so far, to conduct a due diligence also. The procedure is simple. We have created this MSME helpline YouTube channel, and I suppose for anything and everything, whatever you want to know related to MSME, you will be able to find it. There are some very specialized videos which were posted earlier on, and there is an app both on Android and iOS named MSME Ki Pathshala. But now we have posted most of the videos here on MSME Helpline YouTube channel. It's a free of cost, available to everybody. So any MSME can take benefit of this, how to prepare project report, what is the startup definition, how to get the registration, what are the document for a loan, what are the major loan scheme for startup, what is intellectual property right, MSME schemes as I was referring to, the entire MSME schemes are there, how to talk with the bank manager, how to get the recovery of the due payment. These are my contact detail. So you can note down the email ID. Perhaps Dr. Sambhiji will also be sending it to you. So that was all from my side, friends. Hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed, taking your questions and trying to answer to the best of my ability. Can members of cooperative society seek relief against an errant builder in a redevelopment process?
Sir, some other questions are there. I have sent it to you.
पूछिए भेजिए. One question I also asked, whether you like this session or not, please just let me know. And what improvement you want will be very important to me. So CV Suryamji is asking that is there any time limit for discounting of bills through TRADS from the date of invoice? No, immediately you need to upload the invoice, and it should not be after the payment date. I am professional CA but not having GSTIN. Can I get Udyam registration? So there has been an modification by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. We requested this a lot, in fact. So you can take, because we contested with the Ministry of MSME that suppose my turnover is below threshold limit, why should I be asked to take GST registration to get this Udyam registration? And many of the MSMEs will not like to get the GSTN if they are not mandated to get the GSTN, and then they will be deprived of getting the Udyam registration also. The ministry accepted our request. What is the average rate of interest in TRADS scheme? So it's as I told you, it's very competitive, because the financing or the discounting of invoice is based on the credit worthiness of the buyers, which normally are the large government companies or large corporate. So you can definitely expect a rate which is much lower than what is available to the MSMEs. What is the pre-package insolvency resolution process under IBC? Limit of default from purchase is 10 lakh. Can you please elaborate it in? Dear, this is a very long subject. This newly introduced pre-package insolvency process under IBC has been introduced. So perhaps it's such a large subject that we'll discuss it on some other day. Whether CA firm is compulsorily required to get GST registration for Udyam registration? No. Perhaps I have answered this question earlier also. Is there any time limit from the date of invoice for applying discounting on invoices with TRADS? I hope I have already replied it, that once you raise the invoice, upload it on the trade platform. If you have any specific issue on this, please mail me. So thank you very much, friends. Namaskar. I really enjoyed a lot. Sambit, I suppose we can just close it now. On this Saturday evening, you are with me. So thank you very much all. Thank you, the technical support team of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Thank you very much.
We are very thankful to CA Mukesh Mohan Gupta for deliberating upon the solution on the delayed payment on MSME, and that one is particularly he has deliberated upon all the aspects of the delayed payment. And we once again on record, we are thankful to you, sir. Namaskar. We are thankful to all the participants of the virtual CP meeting. And we once again expect all the participants to rejoin in that one is tomorrow's live webcast on the startup. With this, we conclude the session. Thank you to all.
Thank you.